Hello, this is Running Robert, and today we are doing part 2 of our series for making just a very little YouTube little game. I thought this because, I've been trying to learn game dev, and you go to like a tutorial that's like 3 hours, and I don't have the patience for that. So I'm just kind of doing this in very small little spots. So what we did last week was movement. So like I said, I am just very easy movement in the screen. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. That link will be at the top popping up, and we will be able to go from there. So second part of our game, what we're going to do is we're going to add bullets. So first thing we're going to need is actually to create the bullet. So we're going to go in here and we're going to create a 2D sprite. If I go here to the sprite render, you might have to open it up if you need to. We're going to click here, and these are where all your sprites are, where everything you're going to be putting in there. We're just going to make a knob. So if you look at it, you can see the screen right here. We have the little circle. We are a bigger circle. I'm going to change the color of it so that we don't have any issues there. So let's, I'm going to make it green. It's a good color. Okay. So with it now, you can definitely see it in the screen down here. And so we're in good shape. We're going to rename it Bullet. There we go. And I'm going to add the box collider 2D, and I'm going to add the rigid body 2D to it. So what I'm going to do in the rigid body at the moment is I'm not going to have any gravity for it. And I'm going to have a mass of as low as possible. So we're just going to go like that. So when I click on it, there's really no mass for it. There's no gravity. From the scene, I am actually going to put it into a folder I have called prefabs. What this means is anything I want, anything that I can grab from the scene with a future script will be doing it. So I don't just have to have a million bullets out here for them to grab. So we can now get rid of that in our main scene. It is gone. We are in great shape. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need is an active spot for the bullet to come out of. So what we're going to do again is we're going to create an empty object. So obviously you see there's nothing here. So what we are going to do is we are going to move the empty object somewhere close to my player. And we'll just move it, I think right there is probably a good spot. And we are going to call this the FirePoint. So rename FirePoint. Perfect. Good start. What I'm going to do is actually put the FirePoint into the player. So you can see now the FirePoint in the player 1. So if I move the player, it's also going to move that FirePoint. So we're going to move our player back. And now we're in pretty good shape. So now we have the bullet made, and we have the FirePoint made. So the next thing we need to do is actually make the script that we have. So what we're going to be doing is, I'm going to go back to player, add component, and I am going to add a script. I'm going to call it shooting. Perfect. Okay. We're going to minimize some of this stuff just to kind of clean it up a little bit. So we already, and we're going to delete that because I've already kind of gone through that once. So we have our shooting script here. What we're going to do, we're going to go and we're going to edit our script. Okay, that's great. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, we're gonna clear some of the screen out just to make it look a little bit nicer, and hopefully you guys can follow as well as possible. Okay, we're gonna give me some space. Wonderful. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna need in the script is what we're doing. So in our void start here, we actually don't need that. So there's nothing that we want on start. We're gonna go ahead and delete that. Our void update is something that we're going to put in. So we're going to actually go look at our shooting key. So we're going to go if Input.GetButton and GetButtonDown, and we are going to select a button for it. So per Unity, the mouse button is the first button that we're going to have for that. So, and for those of you guys who are worried, I will be putting the script into the comment section. So if it's a little hard to see or you're just not doing something right, because it does need something very precise to do it. So what we're doing here is the void update. So if I press this button down, which is fire 1, which is my left mouse key, it's going to shoot. Not shooting, just shoot. Okay. Pretty simple. So pretty much if this button gets pressed, it's going to shoot. So what we need now is an actual shot. So let's see. We're going to make sure we get out of everything here. Going to resave. So now we're going to actually put a void. And we're going to go shot. Put our brackets there. Okay, so a couple of things have to happen for it. So one, we need to start actually pulling the game objects. Right now, this is just a single button. Nothing will happen for it. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to actually call our game object. So we'll come down here. We'll call GameObject Bullet. Pretty simple. And we're going to go an equal sign here. Now, one of the problems we have, we don't have this game object at the moment. So what we're going to do, we're going to put it in. So we're going to go public game object, and we're going to call it the bullet prefab. Okay. So the first thing that we're actually pulling is that bullet. So this game object bullet, we're going to be pulling our bullet prefab from there. So first thing's done. When we're going to start with the Instantiate button, which means we're going to create. Put it there. And so what we're going to be looking for is, one, we're going to pull this bullet prefab. We're going to copy and paste. And we need it, so we're going to pull the bullet. We're going to create a bullet from a location. So right now we're going to go Firepoint. And this brings up a second question. So we have the bullet pulling. We don't have the Firepoint. So what we need to do now is also make a public for that. So we're going to go public Transform, and we're going to put in Firepoint. Okay, so these two objects here are in this. So it's going to, when we hit the shoot button, it's going to bring up this code, and it's going to look for this game bullet. It's going to start the code, putting the prefab and the Firepoint. The last thing we need is going to be the Quaternion, and I hope I spell this right, identity. Let's see, and let me clean that up. And this is rotation of it. We don't have any rotation. That's the simplest explanation I have for it. So pretty simple. It is going to create the bullet at the bullet create the bullet from the prefab at the Firepoint with no rotation. The next thing we're going to do is add the rigid body to it. So we're going to add the rigid body 2D. And what this is doing is going to actually help it with its movement. So we're just going to go Bullet.GetComponent. And we're going to pull, and I cannot spell rigid body 2D. And, okay. And we can get rid of that at the moment. Okay, so this is now going to pull up the rigid body movement. That's going to help with the movement and any kind of things that we put onto it. So it's going to grab the bullet, and it's going to grab the rigid body. Okay, so now we actually need to add force to it. So we're going to use the rigid body, add force. Add force. I know spelling is not my strong point, and that's one of the biggest problems with coding is that you have to make sure that you're in good shape for spelling and a lot of corrections and stuff like that. So it's going to add force at the Firepoint, and I'm capital, and it's going to go to the right. We're going to put the bulletForce, BulletForce, and we're going to make the force mode 2D impulse. Okay, so this is going to add force, and it's going to move the bullet to the right times the bulletForce in that direction. So now we actually need to put a bulletForce up here. So what we're going to do is going to put a public float, try to type public float. Let's see, I made it on bullet when in doubt, steal and copy. Best thing I can tell you guys for trying to figure this out. Equals, and we're just going to go with 10F. Why not? We're going to make sure it lines up. Okay. So all the bullets and all the forces are in good shape. I think we're in good shape there. We're going to minimize that for a second. So when I open up shooting, oops, now I did something wrong here. So any errors are going to go on the bottom. 23, 55, 23, and I probably spelled something wrong, is most likely what happened. Firepoint.position. I need the position for the Firepoint. There we go. Okay. So small error. This just wants me, so I'm actually creating the Firepoint at its position. So let's go back. Let's see down here if we have anything else. We don't. And you can see here, now we have our stuff that we need. So what we're going to do is up here in the script, I have my bullet prefab. I'm going to grab my bullet and my Firepoint, which is right here. So now I have my bullet and I have my Firepoint. So let's see if it works. So, we can still move. Oh, and you can see the bullet doesn't really do much here. So what's probably going on is I probably have my Firepoint too close to my player. So we are going to move that out a little bit. And we're going to retry. And it doesn't like it. So let's look at my bullet. Let's make sure that everything is done correctly with the bullet. It's dynamic. Let's just make the mass 1. That's the makes the box collider. Yep, good there. There we go. And we have a firing bullet. And there you go. So we now have really the makings of a game. I have my player and I have a bullet. And that was pretty simple. We got through that in about 12 minutes. Only a couple small errors. We are going to go back to the code for you guys if you need to see it. And this will also, like I said, be at the very end of in the comments section. So if you want to look at it more, do everything, like I said, and this is also a very simple script. I am not trying anything complicated. This is something that anybody could probably put in because I am putting it in and I am not that great at this. So I'll leave that up as I keep talking. So like I said, thank you guys for coming in. So in the next video, we are actually going to be adding enemies. And we're going to add some bullet impacts probably to them. That's what I think I'm going to do for the next one. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.